Now, just a little warning before we begin. There will be major spoilers in this video for the 4th episode of She-Hulk. So, you haven't seen it yet, you don't want it ruined, you know what to do. Click away and come back after you have seen it.
Or don't watch it at all.
Oh boy, that's a spoiler alert in itself for how good the episode was, right? I mean, not how good it was, but how average sitcom-y it was. That's what I'm going to call it. This series has just kind of devolved, or it was intended to be a sitcom. It just felt like one of those on network TV. You sit down and you watch.
Like an Ally McBeal or something.
I've never seen Ally McBeal, but I'll have to assume yes.
Yes. Or like a Will and Grace, or
it's
a regular sitcom type.
That's just the impression I get. It's
Two and a Half Men.
Okay, that one I have seen.
There you go. It's average sitcom.
Now you're speaking my language. But actually, I'm not a huge fan of Two and a Half Men, but I have seen it. But that's all it is, right? There's
Honestly,
no real overarching plot that I see at all. There's no...
The overarching plot is she has to cope with being She-Hulk.
And yet she embraces it and makes herself feel worse. It's kind of what the message I get out of this episode.
She's now got a love-hate relationship with herself.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to be She-Hulk. She didn't want to be a superhero. She doesn't want anything to do with it. But she can get guys when she's She-Hulk. And She-Hulk has its uses, I guess, in her life. But she does make her still feel bad when she changes her profile. And immediately people are like, yeah. Just like, I want this there was a guy who was going out with her, went on a date with her, and then she and him did something later.
What was
in
that?
the evening. I don't know, but...
you don't know, or you're
in
just
the context, if they would have reversed the genders on those, there would have been a metaphorical storm on the internet because of how...
Yeah, it was kind of a strange...
weird.
He seemed into her, but it just kind of seemed like, I'm gonna do this guy, to put it bluntly, I guess.
Yeah, she didn't seem into him until she was like, oh.
Well, I mean...
Well, he was listening to her, and he was being a gentleman.
Well, what's odd about that is, like, as soon as he, like, took his shirt off, it's like, oh, well, now I'm even more...
And then she was sold.
It's kind of reversing, and I don't know, maybe I should give it a little bit of credit in this episode, because it kind of reversed, intentionally or not, I don't know, maybe just unintentionally did this, but it kind of reversed it in some ways and made her look like the superficial kind of bad person.
It kind of did.
She was only worried about her looks, she used her looks to get a guy, and then...
She really did.
But of course, she did feel... not bad about doing it, but she felt bad after the guy's like, oh, you're the real Jen Walters. I have no interest in you now. So it kind of bit her in the butt. And then you had
and she did spring it on him in a way.
Which is bad.
You woke up the next morning and saw an entirely different person.
Well, did he not realize that? Does he not watch the news? Because she's been did she not talk about it the previous night that she transforms? I
don't think she talked about it.
Well, but he was like, well, tell me about you. So she never I'm actually a lawyer and I look like this. I thought she was talking about how the first day of work she had to transform into She-Hulk and he should fully understand that.
Right. It was a weird situation at the end. I don't quite understand what they were going for. Were they trying to make him look like, I don't know, he has a douche because he's leaving and when she looks like regular self? I don't know.
Yeah, and so they made her kind of like, well, you're kind of being shallow now too. And of course we had to have D-bag guy, who isn't really. I mean, he approached them in a bar type setting, like, hey, ladies, you're alone. What do you... I don't know. This is a touchy subject, but what do you want a guy to do when he is interested, right? Like,
and he left when they told him to.
Yeah, he didn't
stick around and slide in next to him and be extra creepy.
I mean, I am ever thankful to have the best woman in the world, for one, but for two, to not have to play in these stupid games, I guess, that get played today. I don't even know how you would approach the dating situation anymore.
I've been in a situation at the bar where a guy comes over and offers to buy you a drink. When you tell them they're not interested, if they walk away, that's a success. Yeah. That's okay. He did exactly what you wanted. He told you weren't interested, and he left, and that's exactly what he did. I don't think what he did was so bad.
It feels
because I've seen it and I've had it be much worse, where the person literally like settles up at your table, slides right up on next to you, like
help.
So
yeah,
what the heck?
Like we've said, there are bad guys. Don't get me wrong. You know, there are bad guys who do horrible things. Like, I'm not trying to defend that in any way, shape, or form, but it's so strange because you showed a guy kind of showing his interest, offering to buy you a drink, and trying to exude some confidence too. Because that's, as a guy, I think women like a guy who's confident, right? They don't like a shy, meek guy like, oh, maybe, could you possibly, maybe,
I think
can I buy
confidence
you a
is
drink?
important in
Yeah.
all people.
Yeah, men like confident women too, believe
Exactly.
it or not. And so it's strange to me that you have that scene, and I mean, maybe it wasn't meant to in
I
any
don't
way,
know.
shape, or
But
form.
they
They
were
laughed
like,
him off.
They laughed him off.
But yeah, I mean,
Like,
it's a little cringy. Don't get me wrong, but it's
Yeah.
always going to come off as a little cringy.
I think the show is setting a very odd double standard. They get really like
Yeah, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
they don't want to be looked at as only their looks. They don't want to be looked at just for their sexuality and because of that. Or they talk about how this guy is he only looks at people based on their looks, and she can't get a date based on what she perceives based on her looks.
Yeah.
Even that first date guy walked away. He's like, yeah, she's like a 6.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want that, but at the same time, it was fine for Nikki to go, oh yeah, I set a thirst trap for Wong, a picture of me with some books.
Yep. Well then.
So she is going to use her looks and sexuality to get something she wants, but then on the flip side, they get really mad when somebody else looks at them for that. But they're at the same time using it. It's a complicated matter to get into in the first place.
Well, and then you have in this episode, you have the dumb drunk party girl. I don't know what you want to call her, which is another stereotype.
Madison with 2 N's and a
the
Y,
where you
but
don't
not where you
expect it.
think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could have never heard that again and been just fine. But I mean,
But it was
it's
exactly
strange.
where I thought the Y would be.
Well, that's why I was saying before. I almost give it credit because it does give a negative quote unquote stereotype to a woman too in this episode, because that is
one was better than some of the other episodes.
better. It's I don't know. I found it just boring, to be completely blunt about it. I'm just not. I'm not into it. And you can make, well, it's not for you. Okay, maybe it's not for me.
No.
And
Who is it for?
But I can still try to look at it objectively, and objectively, I'm like, this is just it's an odd mixed bag of. I'm not even sure what they're going for.
Cameo of the week. This week
They
was
are.
Wong again.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing to Wong's character either.
And I mean, and you can say it's not for me, which clearly I don't think it is, but like I am a fan of the MCU, right? So they're going to want me to watch this anyway, is the problem. It's not like they're like, okay, guys, this one, you don't watch this one because it's not for you. They've in no way, shape, or form said that, right? They still want the average MCU fan to watch it.
Right, because of the connectivity with the rest of the series.
And it has Hulk in it too. Like I like original Hulk more than I like kind of Professor Hulk.
Smart Hulk. I think
Hulk,
they want
whatever,
you. They want you to call him Smart Hulk.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
until
of
we
that.
trademark
but
it.
I like original. Yeah, yes, which was the ending of the episode. But no, I like Hulk, so of course I'm going to watch it because of that. So it is partly for me, right?
I want to know what deal she made with the demon goat, Jake.
I don't know that they're. I mean, that's another problem I have with it. And I know
They're leaving strings, and I don't like that.
Well, sure, but I mean, I know it's supposed to be sitcom-y. It's supposed to be funny. I stress that word "supposed to be," or words. But it's just not taking the material seriously at all anymore. And I don't really. I like Marvel when it takes itself seriously, not when it gets so over the top and kind of slapsticky. Really,
I get what you're saying. I mean, I know you weren't a huge fan of the latest Thor movie because it went too comedic.
Yes.
And it didn't. It ruined some of its most serious moments with so much comedy that you came out of the theater very.
Yeah,
like,
they
okay,
undercut every single
liked this,
moment. Yeah.
This 5 minutes here and this 5 minutes there, but what happened in the rest of it? Who knows?
Yeah. I don't like. I mean, humor is fine, levity is fine, especially in a very, especially in Marvel. They've generally done a good job, especially earlier on. They did a really good job, and now it's just like we have to put our jokes in there. It has to be funny, and sure, you can do a series that's funny. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of a comedy, right?
Right.
And I think it still, for the most part, worked and took itself seriously. But there's been a lot of misses with that since then. And this is, for me, is just another miss. I just don't find this funny. A lot of things I'm like, well, you want me to believe this is a real universe where these other shows take place in, but this one is going to be so different that I don't feel the connection to the rest of the MCU, you could even say.
Right. One big glaring issue I have with She-Hulk is how it's messing up the rest of the timeline for the MCU right now.
Well,
okay?
yeah, you've talked about how...
you and I have had a discussion.
Yeah.
But I want to open it up to everybody else. So, the order in which things came out in Phase 4 is my problem. Like, okay, so Shang-Chi came out, then the Eternals, then Hawkeye, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel, Thor, She-Hulk. That's like the order in which these things came out. We knew when Spider-Man came out that Hawkeye actually took place after it because Spider-Man ends when they're cleaning up Halloween decorations and Hawkeye is during Christmas.
Yeah.
So we know that those two are kind of flip-flopped as to what order they take place within the universe. She-Hulk threw a wrench into the entire thing. First off, we see Wong broke out the Abomination, and we saw the footage from Shang-Chi. So we know She-Hulk takes place now before Shang-Chi, correct?
Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of during.
During possibly, or something, yeah. Well, this series seems like it takes place over a long stretch of time.
It does. It takes place during a stretch of time. But when She-Hulk was looking for a job, before she took the Abomination job, when she was on that site looking, we saw that little, oh, look, Wolverine cameo possibly with the bar. Claws, but the article underneath it was about the man sticking out of the ocean from the Eternals.
Yep.
The Eternals came out in the theaters after Shang-Chi came out, but now we know it has to take place pre-Shang-Chi because the episode of She-Hulk was before Abomination escaped. So we've moved that now. We've moved, so that's now in front of Shang-Chi. Then She-Hulk had Wong show up. And Wong makes an offhand reference that seems to be from Spider-Man No Way Home, where he kind of talks about how, we could change everybody's memories. Maybe we don't want to do that again. We don't want to do that again. That was bad. If that reference is truly from Spider-Man, that moves Spider-Man and Hawkeye before Shang-Chi and Eternals.
Yeah, but that doesn't,
Well, maybe after Eternals, but definitely before Shang-Chi. Because Wong already knows about the horrible thing they did before Shang-Chi.
In other words, they are messing up their own continuity.
Right, because now I have to move things. And, Shang-Chi, you can't tell anything. There's no, seasonal references, so it's hard to tell because I think it doesn't,
Yeah.
It's very weird, because I don't remember where it takes place. But I didn't see I don't remember any...
San Francisco, right?
Possibly?
I think somewhere in California.
I don't have any seasonal references to look at.
Pretty sure San Fran.
And then the biggest glaring problem that we've talked about. At the end of Shang-Chi, the post-credit scene, Wong invites Shang-Chi and through a portal, and you see holograms of Captain Marvel and Dr. Bruce Banner, not in a Hulk form, with a broken arm and his inhibitor thingy on.
Yeah. Which is now broken and the arm is healed.
Yes, which it would have been at that point because we know that She-Hulk fixed all that previously because that was before the Shang-Chi scene where Abomination was broke out of jail. So the Hulk at the end either A, is a giant continuity error because we know that Hulk has left planet and he's got no broken arm and he's Hulk again.
Yes.
Hulk left planet. We know this.
Hulk left planet.
Hulk leave planet. Yes. But he doesn't get to talk like that anymore because he's smart Hulk now.
Yes, unfortunately. Yes.
Hulk has left the planet. Who was in the hologram?
A Skrull.
That's the only... unless they made a glaring mistake, it has to be a Skrull.
Come on, glaring mistake.
And somehow Jen has to not know that.
Yeah.
Jen has to not come in contact with this, or Wong can't mention it to her that, I talked to your cousin, his arm's looking bad. There can't be any more references to that in front of her in She-Hulk, obviously, because she's like, what are you talking about? Arm's healed.
Yeah. He's
Smart Hulk again. So, is it a continuity error, or are we starting with Skrulls? Even though that seems really far back to be like Skrulls. Skrulls in there now. I think
it's a continuity error. I think they're having a little bit of trouble keeping all of this straight now, which, it's not like it's that much. Really? You know what I mean? If you could figure it out, it's like, well, why didn't nobody else catch it?
Exactly. I'm sure I'm not the first person.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I didn't mean to insult you. Like, well, if you can figure it out, anybody can see it. My point is, there should be people. There should be people basically hired.
The Marvel Story Group.
Well, basically, yeah. There should be some there. Star Wars, I guess, has it. They don't seem to do a terrific job. But, you would think they would have people who are like, well, no, actually, the continuity says this would happen here and this would happen there. Mm-hmm. You would think there would be, people employed to keep things straight like that.
Absolutely, I agree. I'm really hoping it does turn out to be a Skrull. It makes more sense for them to imitate Banner than it does to imitate Hulk. Plus, the Skrulls have they replaced Nick Fury and Maria Hill at one point.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they replaced Banner now, seeing as they left. Maybe they know he left. No, he went back to Sakaar.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It is, but they would know. Well, they wouldn't know, I guess, that She-Hulk would know. Well, even though she doesn't know technically either, does she?
She knows Bruce is gone.
Yeah.
But that's about all she knows.
Yeah.
She just can't know that he's not gone.
Yeah.
And that he's broken arm.
Broken arm, yeah.
And that he's not Hulk.
I'm going to say continuity error, though I'll be pleasantly surprised if...
Maybe they'll go back and fix it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can fix things. But yeah, that really bothers me. That's been brewing for a couple weeks now.
Well, maybe Secret Invasion will... Look, ta-da, you caught on to something that was planned. Ha 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 ha. Or they're listening and they're like, oh...
All they have to do is make their movies take place in order.
Linear, try to be linear, yeah. I think they have problem with the shows and then the movies. I think it's easier when you're just making one movie and then you're making another movie. When you're squeezing in all these shows that are kind of not necessarily even relevant to the bigger picture.
Like before She-Hulk, Eternals was fine taking place after Shang-Chi. The only thing that they could have made move around was the Spider-Man and the Hawkeye. But now that they've had to jump Spider-Man and Hawkeye and Eternals ahead of Shang-Chi, or it doesn't work. And how much else will have to move? Does Thor take place in the timeline after Doctor Strange? Who knows?
I don't know. I think
I know She-Hulk will take place over time. How much time, we can't say exactly.
Like I said, I think the problem is they're not keeping it as straight as they maybe once did, or it's just not as easy, and they don't have the people on staff that are like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense.
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey. That's what's going on here. We'll bring the good doctor in. He'll fix it.
All right, so back to She-Hulk for closing thoughts on this episode, I guess.
The cheesy magician was interesting. I kind of almost enjoyed that plot line of what happens to a sorcerer who fails.
I thought that was kind of... I didn't think he was going to be like
I figured Baron Mordo would take care of him by now, but I guess not. I guess they left him leave with his sling ring. I don't know why they didn't just say they were going to confiscate property back.
That. Or just take it back. You are a magician, right?
From the court perspective, why not just return stolen property?
Yeah, something. I mean, or just take it. Like, how is he ever going to get it back if Wong just shows up like, yep, we're just going to take your sling ring.
Just taking that sling ring. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's it. Because I'm a much better wizard than you, so.
I'm an actual sorcerer.
Sorcerer, yeah. I thought they were going to go kind of a different plot line here, like how people... And I don't know that this is an interesting thing to do for an actual episode of a show, but it's an interesting thought is what would happen to like real, quote-unquote real magicians of our world who are doing... tricks and illusions and stuff that are not real. Spoiler alert for anybody who loves magic. What would happen to them in a world of superheroes and real magic? That's kind of what I thought they were going for.
They'd still have a job of sorts.
You think so?
I mean, Doctor Strange isn't performing parlor tricks for people in a show.
But the problem is, and this was one of the things I found almost strange about the episode that were just unrealistic, is when She-Hulk was with the, her man interest, we'll call him. I don't know if he had a name or not even.
I'm sure he did.
Wong opens up a portal like right next to them, and this guy like doesn't flinch. That's kind of strange. I mean, he's like, oh yeah, it's just a portal that a sorcerer is opening up. That happens all the time. Like, no.
I struggle with why they made him look like such a nice guy and then turned him into, oh, well, you're just Jen and I'm leaving.
No, because all the guys are bad in the end. I guess.
they're gonna repair this next episode or something.
You think so? You think he comes back and apologizes?
Maybe he just say he was really thrown off or startled.
I mean, but he shouldn't. Like, he shouldn't have been. He had to know, right? You do have the internet, right? You have phones. Sorry, that's a Blizzard reference for anybody who... But anyway, I guess we'll end it on that. So, that's all we got for you this time. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you thought of episode 4 of She-Hulk. And let's talk some Marvel. And until next time, thanks for watching.